Society also have their views on that. And then we'll talk about any other thing. And for him, we'll open the phone lines so some of you can ask him questions. Some people thought that when we open the phone lines, it would just be MPP communicators calling. We don't know who called. Put up the number and then anybody can call. I need to also talk about this book, the Graphic Yearbook. But when I finish with Martin Amidu, I'll come to that. It's a very important work that Graphic has done. I think they need to be commended. I just saw it in a bookshop in Laboni the other day. It's entitled The Ghana Yearbook 2021, and it's by the Daily Graphic. I thought that was amazing for the Daily Graphic to put this together. I'll talk about that when we come back. But I'm going to start with Martin Amidu. Benz Kaiser Alamisi is his name, Amidu Martin. And he has put up a document, one of those epistles. This is 6 pages. And he's talking about something that he's creating an allegation against him of sorts that they said he didn't prosecute double salaries, and that as far as he knows, double salaries has been used to negotiate something bizarre like that. You know, it's terrible. We're going to go on the touch screen and walk through Martin's article. We'll tell you, first of all, who Martin is in terms of his political profile, how he started. Many people don't know some of the things we're going to say. We'll tell you. He started actually as Deputy Minister for the Upper East Region. He's ever been Deputy Secretary, PNDC Secretary for the Volta region. Then he became Attorney General. Tonight, he's also taking it out on the Attorney General, Godfrey Adami, and saying all sorts of things about him, which is unethical as a lawyer. As a senior lawyer, he should know that he shouldn't be making such unethical comments. But as usual, we don't speak without basis. We'll go on a touch screen. We'll lay out the constitutional provisions upon which we are going to make our conclusion. We'll lay out the aspects of the Special Prosecutors Act, upon which we think that Martin himself was derelict of his duty and that he should not come and disturb anybody. He's retired. He should stay away. He can speak from afar, but we all know that his ambitions were crushed on 7th of December 2020. Martin Amidu published a resignation. He called the president names. His interest and ambition was that it will affect the vote and the president will be defeated in the election. It didn't happen. This was the same Martin Amidu who said he did not prosecute John Dramani Mahama because John Dramani Mahama was running for election. Such a bizarre reason. Tonight, he is accusing Gloria Kufu of not prosecuting something because he's alleging that President Akufo-Addo told him not to prosecute. Martin Amidu said to us that he's not prosecuting John Mahama because he's running for election. That's what he said. And he now has the effrontery too. As usual, we'll go on the legal basis. We'll go on the constitutional basis and we'll look at the Act, the Special Prosecutors Act. And then we will show you so you can make your own decision. But we will land on the basis that Martin Amidu has no case at all. He's probably feeling very lonely. And I have to put a caveat. You know, when lawyers speak in court and they speak about people who are senior to them, they always add a certain caveat. They say that if they are speaking to a judge or they are disagreeing with the judge, they say that, my lord, with the greatest of respect. Sometimes they say with great respect. So if you're doing the High Court, you say great respect. If you're in the Supreme Court, you say with the greatest of respect. That's the caveat we want to enter tonight. If for some reason our monologue gets heated and we forget to add it, please remember that for everything that we have said about Martin Amidu, we have prefaced it tonight that Martin Amidu with the greatest of respect. So we've said it once. We'll try and say it as often, but if for some reason we forget, remember that it's always there with the greatest of respect. So we're going to play the editorial montage. Please look for it. We're going to play the editorial montage, and then we will go and deal with Martin Amidu's latest 6-pager. And then after that, we'll spend 20 minutes on this one. Kojo Ponkroma will be our guest. Let's see the teaser again. Here's Martin Amidu. We bring him from 2000 selections onto his appointments committee hearings in Parliament. Just teaser. Let's have it again.
Yadiano, Oman first time pass so, and I say police stick now. Now Fredo, I can try and say, Yan first time pay so into a movement to see mammy. Namin go to be Mbo Obia so na yet. Obia Obediadeno on Peku.
In my learning and understanding, children are children. When they attain the age of majority, they legally are adults and no more children. So my understanding is that I have no control over these 3 adults. And if I attempt to control them, I could be in legal trouble. That's why I call them adults. But biologically and legally, when they were kids, they were my children. That's my opinion.
So do they cease being your offspring? Do they cease being your children? Because
they don't cease being my offspring. They are my adult companions for whom I will do anything because of the blood connection between me and them. But they are not, strictly speaking.
Okay, without much ado, I have to announce again for those of you just joining us that our main interview is with Minister for Information, Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah. Without much ado now, we're going to render for you an editorial entitled Martin Amidu's Wobbling Allegations. Speaking from the gallery, his voice is being drowned by the waves of the sea. Here is our editorial. Okay, welcome back to the show. This is the Martin Amidu editorial. We're going to begin with who is Martin Amidu, and I'm going to run through very quickly. The main point is that Martin Amidu is saying something tonight. Few things he's saying. One, that during the Parliamentary Appointment Committee hearings, the allegations of ministers who were alleged to have taken double salary was used as a bargaining chip by the president and the government to get the ministers of the president passed by the appointment committee. That's what he said. Very serious allegation that he has no basis to substantiate. Last night you heard Haruna Idrisu on radio, on PM Express on Joy. This evening you've been listening to ABA Fuseni. Both of them very outraged about Martin Amidu's comment. But that's Martin Amidu. He's seeking to draw attention to himself. He's feeling lonely. And, oh, Minister has just walked. Minister, how are you? Okay, you can't see him yet. It's a beautiful smoke. Okay, so that's Martin Amidu, you know. That's how he is. He's seeking to draw attention to himself. He's lonely. He has ego. His ego has been crushed by the events of December 7th. Totally crushed ego, Martin Amidu. Nobody's listening to him anymore. Before December 7th, he believed everyone was listening to him. He published something. He thought everyone was going to listen to him. People didn't listen to him. His ego is crushed. With the greatest of respect. Let's look at who he is. This is Martin Amidu's profile. We start from Deputy Minister of Upper East Region. Now, Martin Amidu was a Deputy Minister of Upper East Region when he started his political career in the early 80s. Guess who was his boss? His boss was John Ndebugre. Ndebugre, whom you know, who later became a critic of Rawlings. John Ndebugre was a minister. Martin was his deputy. There were two deputies, Martin Amidu and Simon Abinja. The story has it that Martin fought Simon Abinja so much. With this his same ego thing, the ego has been going on for a while. And then he was removed to Volta region as Deputy Secretary for the PNDC. So then he became Deputy Secretary for PNDC in the Volta region, and that's where he was until sometime in 1988 or 87. He became the PNDC Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice until 2001. So he began with PNDC. I believe that his boss at that time was Mr. Anthony Forson, whose son is currently the president of the bar. Anthony Forson was the Attorney General, and Martin became the Deputy Attorney General from 1987 or 1988 all the way until 2001. He was Deputy Attorney General. When the Constitution came in 1992, it was Tano who became the Attorney General, his boss again, and later on Dr. Beda Samoa became the Attorney General. So Martin was deputy all through that time. I'll come back to this and explain to you why he's complaining about other people, because this is his record. He's the longest serving Deputy Attorney General. Why they didn't make him Attorney General? Maybe we are now finding answers to why Flies Lieutenant Rawlings, one of Martin's closest allies, who knew Martin well, never ever made Martin a substantive Minister of Justice. It was Professor Mills who made him a Minister of Justice later on in his career as Attorney General. Before then, he had been Minister of Interior under Professor Mills. And when Professor Mills made him Attorney General, it was February 2011. By January 2012, he had been fired because, as the report says, he tried to physically abuse the president. That's Martin Amidu. He tried to physically abuse the president. All of those things were ignored because he's created this thing about him that he's an anti-corruption crusader, which all of us bought into. And so did President Akufo-Addo. So President Akufo-Addo invited him to become the special prosecutor. The rest, as they say, is history. But let's look at what has happened today. Put back on the Martin Amidu epistles. Maybe first, let me look at the Constitution and the mandate. Let me look at the Constitution and the mandate of Martin Amidu so that we can understand where we are taking him tonight. They'll put it on soon, the Constitution and the mandate of Martin Amidu. And then, okay, so there we are. let's look at the mandate of his office. Okay, so it is here. Section 4.1 of the mandate of his office says that, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, the office is not subject to the direction or control of a person or an authority in the performance of the functions of the office. So that's Martin Amidu's mandate, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution. And we'll show you what the Constitution says. The office of Martin Amidu, special prosecutor as he then was, is not subject to the direction or control of any other person. They're going to put it on again. Okay, they'll put it on again and then we can look at it. Okay, there it is again. So he's not subject to the direction of control or any other person. We'll get to some aspects of his mandates and we understand. We are talking about so-called double salaries, except, you heard that, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution. Martin Amidu, in his role as special prosecutor, was not subject to anything. Is there any other one? Okay, number 4. Section 4, Clause 2 of his mandate. That is in the Act of the Special Prosecutor. Subject to Clause 4 of this article, of Article 88 of the Constitution. 88 is what creates the Office of the Attorney General. The office shall, for the purpose of this Act, be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct the prosecution of corruption and corruption-related offenses. Now, we have to explain this to you so you can understand. When it says that subject to the Office of the Attorney General, and it's referring to Clause 4 of Article 88, we'll put Clause 4 of Article 88 there right now so you see it, because we want to emphasize that in doing his functions, Martin Amidu was not subject to the control of the Attorney General. So maybe they should give us Clause 4 of Article 88, the last one that you added. Clause 4 of Article 88. They'll put it on in a minute and then you can see it so we can understand. Okay, there it is. Now, this is Clause 4 of Article 88. All offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him in accordance with any law. So, that's what Clause 4 says. So, in accordance with any law, which is the law here would be the Special Prosecutors Act. In accordance with that law, all offenses to be prosecuted will be done in the name of the Attorney General or any other person being the special prosecutor authorized by the Attorney General in accordance with the law. So the combination of Article 88.4 and Section 4 of Martin Amidu's Act should indicate to us that Martin Amidu was under no control of anyone. The Act itself has said that Martin Amidu can prosecute. That's what the Act says. It says Martin Amidu can prosecute. So we have to understand this one, that Martin Amidu didn't have any problems. He could have proceeded to prosecute. He did. He prosecuted Mahama Yariga and he prosecuted some DC, and he said he cannot prosecute President Mahama because he is he's running for office, and he also said he cannot. He did a preliminary work on Ijapa. He did that. So we get that clearly. Okay. Now, with this background, let's go and now read the things Martin Amidu has written this evening. Now that we have the background, let us understand it. Let's go. Let's start with the Martin Amidu one. And it starts with a bit of, there it is. Okay. So we go. Let's read together. On May 17th, he said, a friend called my attention to the fact that he had heard a radio discussion on Oman FM in which I, Martin Amidu, was being blamed for the government's inability to prosecute the members of Parliament's double salary case, which the Office of the Attorney General had allegedly transferred to my office for prosecution. And I had failed, this allegation against him, Martin Amidu, he had failed or refused to prosecute same before he resigned. This was certainly a deliberate and knowing concoction of fake news from the newly minted Office of the Attorney General to assassinate my integrity and character, whatever that means. Let's move on. My research led me to the Daily Guide Network report in its publication of 10th May 2021 under the heading MP's Double Salary Bounces Back, in which it attributed the inability of the Attorney General's office to prosecute the suspects in the case that has come to be known as members of Parliament's double salary scandal to the infantile and banal fact that the Office of the Special Prosecutor, which was headed by former Attorney General Martin Amidu, took over the case to do the prosecution, but the process was not completed until he resigned last year. Okay, it says, the politically inspired propaganda against my integrity, which sought to link my resignation to the failure or refusal of this irredeemable, corrupt government for 4 whole years to deal with the simple offense of double salary or stealing, as the Criminal Investigations Department of the Police Service put it, are false, infantile, and barefaced lies intentionally concocted and put out by the Office of the Attorney General to the unsuspecting public under the subheading Godfrey Yeboah Dame. He says, the effigy of the Attorney General published alongside the concocted falsehood of me resigning without prosecuting a case which was never handled by my office during my tenure as a special prosecutor demonstrates how shamefully low the hitherto respected ethical office of the Attorney General, which I had the privilege of serving in over 14 years of my career, has descended into since January 2021. Okay, so now let's analyze all of what he's saying. So what's Martin Amidu saying here? Who really cares about Martin Amidu to damage his reputation? Where is the reputation? What is this reputation that anybody wants to damage? What is he talking about? Where is the reputation? Martin Amidu, you've had your time, you've resigned, you've gone, you're not a political opponent, you're not running for office, or does he intend to run for office? Maybe he should tell us. And if he intends to run for office, we will look at his record. So you don't intend to run for office, or you have not said so. What is the point about feeling busy and feeling important? We're not interested. We're not interested. Parliament's about to open. People are doing Fix the Country. There's roads, there's electricity. That's what we are thinking about. Martin Amidu, we are not interested in you. We wish you a peaceful retirement. Sit at home and relax. Don't bring yourself in because we don't need you. You have done your worst. You see, during the Second World War, Winston Churchill said something to the British people. He said to them that Hitler will do his worst, but we will do our best. And the best won, of course. Good always triumphs over evil. And that's what happened in the Second World War. So, Martin Amidu, you have done your worst. You have gone. Nobody's interested. NDC is not interested in you. MPP is not interested in you. The general public in Ghana have nothing to do with you. They are chasing government to build their roads. That's why the information minister is here to answer those questions. They are chasing government to give them water. Martin Amidu, you don't matter in the equation. Sit at home. Nobody cares about you. You see these delusions of self-grandeur with the greatest of respect. Stop it. Have a peaceful retirement. We love the work that you have done. Your Okada Revolution, all the songs you sang, Revolution has come to stay. It's all part of the building of the democracy. We are done with you. You are done with Ghana. Ghana is done with you. Have a peaceful retirement. Maybe next time we'll give you a national award for the 14 years something service at the Attorney General's department. Don't be envious of young people. Don't be envious of young people who are doing things that is going to leave a better legacy than you have done. The kinds of things you say about Godfrey Dame, I'm going to come there. Martin Amidu, you shouldn't be doing that. A senior lawyer like you shouldn't be doing that. You should look at the article Jogate wrote when Godfrey Dame was appointed. You should look at Haruna Idrisu's interaction with Godfrey Dame in Parliament when he was conceding things to him. Is Haruna Idrisu not older than Godfrey Dame? Yes, he is. So why are you envious of the young man? Why? Martin Amidu, what is the problem? We are done with you. Go away, sleep, relax. Just chill. Just enjoy yourself. Watch DSTV, watch Champions League, watch Manchester United or Chelsea. That's all you need to do now. Don't try and bring yourself into the public domain. You see, as soon as you came, you heard what ABF Hussein is saying about you. You are going to deconstruct the respect that has been built for you if you continue writing things like this. Because even the General Legal Council will not be happy that a former Attorney General is writing this about the new Attorney General. Look at the things you said about Kisi Ajabin. Where is it coming from? Martin Amidu, you've done your worst. Nobody listened to you. December 7th, you saw what happened. The people of Ghana massively voted for the man that you were calling names. The man who gave you an appointment, revived your career. You came and called him names. What did he ask you to? He said that you're a lawyer. You have done some work on Ejapa. Give it to Ejapa to respond. That was all he said. And then you jumped to, he's a serpent, he said this, he said that. Hogwash, total hogwash. Nobody minded you. Now you are embarrassed. You are ashamed. You are sitting there. The man has been sworn in as president once again. You are ashamed. And you are bringing, what is all this for? Please, don't start getting letters from General Legal Council and so stop this matter. Now I'm going to deal with this issue about the so-called double salary, for which reason some people were passed that vetting. You've not even been a member of parliament before. Do you understand what happens at appointments committee? And then you come and talk about the whole appointments committee, which is chaired by no less a person than the first deputy speaker, and bundle the whole appointment committee, which is also ranked by the minority leader, and bundle all of them and say that they negotiated something. Is that how you build a country? The country that you have worked for. These things you write are going on internet. You are an important person. These are the kinds of things you allude to when you actually have no basis. A lawyer of such standing, because you are feeling lonely. If you are lonely, watch Manchester United. They are going to buy Hurricane. Watch them. Please. Anyway. He says, throughout my tenure as special prosecutor, the respected former Attorney General Gloria Kufu never referred this case to me for further investigation or prosecution. Any experienced and ethical person who has ever occupied the office of the Deputy Minister of Justice under the Constitution knows that the Attorney General never sends a docket to another independent investigatory or prosecutorial agency without a covering letter, forwarding the docket with what? Requisite instructions or request. He doesn't even, I'll come to that. Okay. Mr. Godfrey Adame, the young and inexperienced, that's where I'm coming to. Young and inexperienced Attorney General should know now that he is the Attorney General, that there are no records in his office or the Director of Public Prosecution's office showing that the Attorney General, Ms. Gloria Kufu, old enough to be Godfrey Dame's mother. You see why I say he's envious of Godfrey Dame. Now you understand. What is this? What is this? You are calling him inexperienced. You were Attorney General for 11 months. When you became Deputy Attorney General, you were 35 years old. When he became Deputy Attorney General, he was slightly older than that. He has done more Supreme Court successes than you have, Martin Amidu. That's what the record will tell you. The record will tell you that he has done more Supreme Court successes than you had. And you had done some Supreme Court cases in the old era that you had failed. Were you not the lawyer for all the MPP and GBC, IGP and MPP and IGP? In MPP and IGP, when the MPP were asking for what we have today, rights for demonstration, you, Martin Amidu, argued against it. Did you not lose at the Supreme Court? You think we don't know your record? Let's go and take the arguments you presented before the Supreme Court in MPP and IGP, and let's look at it. What did you say about MPP and GBC? The right of political parties to have their feed broadcast by the public broadcaster. You were against it. All the things that have built up in the Supreme Court to give us democracy, you were against it. And you want to talk. We know your record. Those are the arguments you presented before the Supreme Court and you were defeated. We know your record. It was Martin Amidu who presented an argument to the Supreme Court in the case of Otiene J and the Republic and said that when a person raises, I was in a court that day, he said that when the political party raises the hands of a civil servant that he is going to be the MP for that area, that civil servant has not breached the code of the civil servant's impartiality because he has not signed at the Electoral Commission. So it was Martin Amidu who made those arguments. Unfortunately, the court, led by Pega JSC, agreed with him. Today, we know that that's no longer the law. It was Martin Amidu who made these arguments. These are the arguments you're making in the Supreme Court. And then you come and say, the inexperienced. What does that mean? 20 years at the bar is inexperienced? Don't you know? What does that? So let me tell you, viewers who don't know. The Constitution says that a person who has done 10 years at the bar is able to become a high court judge. A person who has done 15 years at the bar is able to become a court of appeal judge. A person who has done 20 years at the bar is able to become a Supreme Court judge. That's what Martin Amidu calls inexperienced. If this is not jealousy, what is it? What could it be? You are a senior citizen. Young men are growing up. They are coming up. All you need to do is to build them up. It is not above you or beneath you to write letters to Godfrey Dame and says, I've heard your argument here. I think you should have been arguing this way. It is not above you or beneath you to write letters to Haruna Idrisu because now you're a statesman. You are not NDC or MPP anymore. You're a statesman. To write letters to Haruna and say, Haruna, I've heard you say this. I think you should say it this way. That's what some senior citizens are doing. If you don't know, I'm telling you. Even me, sitting here, I get those letters from important senior citizens that I heard this, your situation. Please, next time, do it this way. That's what you do as a senior citizen. Not come and write a letter and say, Godfrey Dame is inexperienced and Gloria is old to be his mother. Are you the one who gave birth to Gloria? How old is she? What kind of hogwash is this? How can a senior person, Martin Amidu, speak like this? That he is inexperienced. Gloria Kufu, who is old enough to be Dame's mother. That's even an insult. You shouldn't talk like this. How can you talk like that? With the greatest of respect, Martin Amidu, respect the young people who have come. They are building up. Societies have been built by old people and have been built by young people. When young people have been given opportunity, don't call them inexperienced and all of these things because of something you are saying which has no basis. You are saying that Gloria Kufu never instructed you to prosecute no salaries, and therefore, if nobody should say that because of you, it's because of you, that's why they didn't prosecute this. Now, Gloria Kufu is there. Gloria Kufu, I think that you should sue Martin Amidu in defamation. I think you should, because some of the things he goes on to say about you, that you were a poodle. Martin Amidu calls you, Gloria Kufu, a poodle. That you were a poodle of the president. These are the words that he's using because he's lonely. And because he has done his worst, and his worst didn't wash, it didn't happen. The Ghanaian people didn't listen. 6 weeks to election, he came and published something hoping that he would throw spanner in the works of the NPP campaign. It didn't work. So he's lonely. Put Gloria Kufu back on. Madam Gloria Kufu, I think that you should report Martin Amidu to the General Legal Council. But how can an existing Attorney General call a former Attorney General a poodle? There's such words. How can you use such words? That's what's wrong with Martin Amidu. He should be writing an apology letter tomorrow. Let's run through quickly because they are showing me time and the minister is here. Martin Amidu, nobody's interested in him. Okay. Mr. Godfrey Dame, under whose name the Daily Guide Network reports and attributes the infantile lies that the Office of the Special Prosecutor, which was headed by the former Attorney General Martin Amidu, took over the case to do the prosecution, but the process was not completed until he resigned late last year, ought to have developed the capability of asking the Director of Public Prosecutions as to the status of the case instead of linking my resignation to a matter which never came under my watch just to assassinate my character. What's assassinating character in this? The credible information I received on the case is and was that the then Attorney General and Director of Public Prosecutions had both persuaded the case docket, had both perused the case docket and had come to the conclusion that charges be filed against some of the suspects for prosecution. The Attorney General was instructed not to do so by the President, who unconstitutionally usurped the investigatory and prosecutorial constitutional authority of the Attorney General on the grounds of political expediency of having the suspects agreeable to play ball in Parliament for the government. This is a total lie. I mean, I'll show you why it's a lie. Okay. So Martin Amidu is talking about 2017 era, first term of Akufo-Addo. Remember the deficit of the NDC in Parliament. The NPP has 69 members in Parliament, and we are allowed to talk like that. But lawyers don't say that I have credible information. Lawyers are on verification. They speak on verification. He must say that I saw a letter. You are asking Godfrey Dame that before he speaks, he should go to the Director of Public Prosecutions to find out whether a letter was written to you, because there will be a cover letter. And that Godfrey Dame shouldn't speak without that. That's the same thing you are committing, because you are blind. That's what it is. You are committing the same error you are alleging Godfrey Dame committed, because you say that you are relying on credible information. You didn't cite any letter. You didn't cite any authority. You didn't cite any authoritative document. And you are talking about the President usurping the authority of the Attorney General. Okay, fair enough. One more thing. I'll finish now. This view is consistent, Martin Amidu says, with a clear unconstitutional usurpation of the independent exercise of the prosecutorial discretion of the Attorney General by the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, in his response to a question asked by Kweku Dauro of Kingdom FM on the government's fight against corruption on 13 December 2019, particularly the prosecution of the double salaries and other criminal cases. The President unconstitutionally assumed the status of the Attorney General of Ghana and shockingly said entirely that on the members of the Parliament's double cases as follows. The double salary and members of Parliament, it is not straightforward allegation of misappropriation that some people think. There is a whole lot of double counting to what extent people were taking money vis-a-vis the emolument of Article 70 and all that. And I'm thinking that unless the thing is really clear-cut and it has not been made quite clear to me, to rein a whole lot of parliamentarians, and the list is quite a lot, to rein a whole lot of parliamentarians on a 50-50 case for myself, I don't think that we will be doing the public interest of our country any service in that way. So the process of seeing to what extent the set-off can be, there has been ongoing. There is a group doing that work. And when they finish, we will be in a position to let the country know what the final outcome of the double salary thing is. Now, Martin Amidu, you've been you sat in cabinet before. You've been former Attorney General. When the President says this, what is wrong with this? Attorney Generals go to cabinet meeting. Cabinet is the highest decision-making body of our country. You don't understand that? So the Attorney General is the President's principal legal advisor. He's not the President's legal instructor. He's the president's legal advisor. And when he brings the matter to cabinet, the president's advisor on finance is there, the president's advisor on information is there, the president's advisor on agric is there, and they all look at it. If information takes a paper to cabinet, they all look at it and they make a decision. So if the president says that we have looked at this matter, it sounds to me like a 50-50 something, but we have set up a committee to look at it properly. That committee will be a committee of lawyers, and you call that a usurpation of the Attorney General's job? Is the Attorney General the one who carries the executive authority? He's a principal legal advisor to the government. What legal advisor? What does that mean to you, Martin Amidu? You don't understand Article 88? Were you not part of the Consultative Assembly that wrote it? You don't suddenly understand Article 88 when it says the principal legal advisor, you think it's a legal instructor to the president? Is that what you were doing with Rawlings? That's why you tried to beat up Professor Mills? Because you thought he was your legal, you were instructing him legally? Please, get off these things, Martin Amidu. We respect you with the greatest of respect. Stop these things. Stop these things. Stop it. It doesn't work. Okay, now I'll come back to his own allegation. So Martin Amidu says that the president felt that the Ghanaian jurisprudence by the enshrining the prosecutorial powers of the Republic of Ghana in an Attorney General who is professionally responsible for the prosecutorial decisions made on a non-partisan basis and not the president. Shame on Martin Amidu. Shame on you for reproducing all of that without indicating the advisory role of the Attorney General. Article 88, please look for 88 for me. Let's put it on. Article 88 starts by saying that the Attorney General shall be the principal legal advisor to the government. Bring it back. Meanwhile, you look for 88. Okay. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you. So let's put it on. Put it on TV. Let's see it. Put it on TV. This is Attorney General. There shall be an Attorney General of Ghana who shall be a Minister of State and the principal legal what? Advisor to the government. Not just the president, the government. Legal advisor. You've forgotten that? This is basic English. He's the principal legal advisor. He's not a legal instructor. He's a legal advisor to the government. So he advised the government and says, Mr. Government, I think that is the position of the law. Where will he or she say that? He or she will say that in cabinet. And everybody will look at it. So if the president comes to a press conference and said, we have looked at this matter of double salary. We are not quite sure whether it is a strong case. We have looked at it. We being who? The cabinet. That's the mandate that the people of Ghana have given them. The Attorney General is the principal legal advisor. Now, principal legal advisor here should suggest to Martin Amidu and all of us reading that there could be other legal advisors. But Attorney General is the principal one. Shame on you, Martin Amidu. Shame on you. Bring it back. Let's finish. Shame on you. Shame on you. So Martin Amidu is going to come back. So he comes here and says that the framers of the 1992 Constitution, Anglo-Ghanaian jurisprudence by enshrining prosecutorial powers, blah, 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 without talking about the advisory role of the Attorney General. That's dishonest. Very, very dishonest. I served as Deputy Attorney General and Attorney General for almost 14 years. No, please, Martin Amidu, you didn't serve as Deputy Attorney General for 14 years. You served as Attorney General for 11 months. 11 months, and you were fired because they said that you tried to beat up Professor Mills. As Attorney General, you were fighting boxing in the cabinet. That's your record. You were fighting boxing in the cabinet with your president, the man you're supposed to be giving legal advice to. You wanted to beat him up. That is your record. You, Attorney General, Professor Mills, you were fighting with him in the cabinet. You as Attorney General, that's why they sacked you. That's what we have been told. That's why you were sacked. That you were fighting boxing with Professor Mills inside the cabinet. And he says that I've been Attorney General. You were Deputy Attorney General for so long. Unfortunately, Rawlings didn't tell us why he kept you there as deputy for so long. Because most of the time you were there, Dr. Obed Asamoah, when he became your boss, he was also foreign minister. He was never there. Somehow, Rawlings didn't have the confidence to make you the Attorney General because he knew your record in Upper East as deputy. Your record with Simon Abinja, may he rest in peace. He knew your record. Rawlings was aware of your record, Martin Amidu. That's why maybe, I don't know, but that's why maybe he didn't make you that. Okay, so let's finalize. President's response as a media encounter, we have dealt with it. Okay, political propaganda, opposition, let's move on. Double salary and other criminal cases were negotiated for ministerial approvals. Now that's the thing. He says, I say with all knowledge and information at my disposal on this matter that the statement is merely intended to divert the minds of suffering patriotic Ghanaians, particularly the youth championing the Fix the Country from the abysmal failure of the government in bringing the country to its present sordid state of suffering, while its operatives enrich themselves through illegal gold mining called Galamsey. So that's Martin Amidu. He says that, I say with all knowledge and information at my disposal on this matter, that the statement is merely intended to divert the minds of the suffering patriotic Ghanaians, particularly the youth, championing the Fix the Country from the abysmal failure of the government in bringing the country to its present sordid state of suffering, while its operatives enrich themselves. Wow. Okay, let's move on. It is not accidental that the Daily Guide network of 10th May also carried a news report in which the Minister of Finance was desperately trying to convince Ghanaians that the woes of the country were inherited, even in the second term of a government that promised bread and butter for every Ghanaian when elected into power. Okay. The statement attributed to the Office of the Attorney General about recently resuming working on establishing a prima facie case against the ex-appointees and then swing into action cannot also be reflecting the factual truth because of negotiations led by one of the former ministers of finance of the NDC on behalf of this government, which resulted in the NDC party outside Parliament instructing the NDC in Parliament to approve all ministerial nominees of the government, including the minister who was yet to supply further and better particulars to the appointment committee for consideration before his approval or disapproval by the committee and by Parliament. Now, this is the allegation he makes, and I'm going to end here. He says, this statement attributed to the Office of the Attorney General about recently resuming working on special cases to create a prima facie case for the appointees cannot also be reflecting any factual truth because is important. Because of negotiations that he alleges led by one of the former ministers of finance. So he's talking about Setekpe, Kwabena Dufo, I'm not sure, Kwesi Botre maybe, says former ministers of finance, on behalf of this government, which resulted in the NDC party outside Parliament. That must include John Dramani Mahama. NDC party outside Parliament includes John Dramani Mahama and Asedun Ketia and Fuson Pofo and all of them. They outside Parliament instructed the NDC in Parliament to approve all ministerial nominees of the government, including the minister who was yet to supply further and better particulars to the appointments committee for consideration before his approval or disapproval. This is not true. No, clearly, we don't have an hour. We are out of time. This is not true. This is not true. So Martin Amidu is making this big allegation. You see how he makes allegations, baseless allegations, that the same thing that Akufo-Addo said he didn't believe in. That same thing has been used by a former Minister of Finance of NDC. Setekpe, Dr. Kwabena Dufo, please come and remove your mouth, as they say. Come and explain. Martin Amidu is raising allegations against one of you. So let's go back a little bit. So Setekpe, Kwabena Dufo, NDC 2, Mills, Mahama, NDC. Let's throw it back to Rawlings, Kwame Pepra, and Kwesi Botre. So they are just 4 people. So Martin Amidu's allegations here is 4 people. Beautiful. We have been able to narrow it down. 4 people. He's talking about 4 people. I doubt if he's talking about Kwame Pepra. I really doubt if he's talking about Kwesi Botre. So he's probably talking about Dr. Dufo and Setekpe. I don't know. We've narrowed it down to 2, Dufo and Setekpe. Martin Amidu is making these allegations against you. He's also making allegations against John Dramani Mahama when he refers to the NDC outside Parliament. The same person you said you cannot prosecute, you are making these allegations against him. You see, he's looking for attention. He's looking for attention. I'll give him attention, but I'll remind him that he's done. Ghana doesn't need him. He should sit where he is, retire peacefully. We are done. And stop the envious behavior that he's envying other people and talking about. I've seen JEA Mills. Let me see what he said. The Attorney General's office also deliberately and disingenuously further linked my service under the presidency of JEA Mills to the government of John Dramani Mahama, of which I was not a member, when the Daily Guide Network reports that it had emerged that the case involving former ministers and appointees in the erstwhile John Dramani Mahama National Democratic Government who were caught in the alleged double salary scandal has not been dropped. Oh, no, please. Nobody's talking about that. Okay. So Martin Amidu, I've finished with him. Now, but last one. Martin Amidu was special prosecutor. He had powers to prosecute double salary. If for some reason he was so outraged by what he heard that the president is usurping the powers of the Attorney General, Article 88, nothing stopped him from prosecuting. That's the point that ABA Fuseni was making on Joy FM. Nothing stopped him from prosecuting. And who did he prosecute? He prosecuted Mahama Ayariga, apparently for some personal issues. Now Mahama Ayariga has been acquitted. Who did he prosecute? He tried to prosecute. He had information to proceed against John Mahama. Yeah, that's Mahama Ayariga on the screen. Martin Amidu tried to prosecute Mahama Ayariga in some weird circumstances. What happened? Ayariga acquitted. Then he was chasing some DC in the north because of personal issues. So you see, this man, I'm sorry to say, he's personal. He's ambitious, which we know, which is okay. But he's also sometimes hypocritical, with the greatest of respect. Hypocritical. So I'm done with Martin Amidu. Let's see, the minister is here. Let's have a look at the minister. They'll put, hi, minister, you're on the screen now. Minister.
Paul, how are you?
I'm good. I'll join you in a minute.
No problem.
Okay, so that's, I told you I was in a beautiful smoke. That's Kojo Ponkruma. So, okay, keep your text messages coming on, Martin. Martin Amidu, what shall we do? Let's go to Zangalewa. Last one. Zangalewa, Martin Amidu, look for it. When you get it, signal me that you have it. Then let's give it to him. He should stop being envious of people. He should stop thinking that he's still very important. He's no longer important. We are fixing our country. We are working. We are looking for water, electricity. Sakufado's second term. NDC are going to run elections. 2024 is going to happen. Martin Amidu, you're out of the equation. You did your worst. Nothing happened. Nobody is minding you. The president is not going to mind you. You've said your worst about him. He still went to the polls and he got elected. Nobody is going to mind you. Martin Amidu, retire in peace. Watch Manchester United. Wednesday, tomorrow, Manchester United is playing Villarreal. Watch it. Enjoy yourself. Do they have the Zangalewa now? Did they say yes or no? Okay.
Ghana is a beautiful country. There is so much of it you probably haven't seen, haven't experienced, haven't touched, haven't felt, haven't eaten. When this is all over, let's discover our land again with new eyes. Let's feel each other again. We are one people, brought together by destiny. Let's make that count. Let's show love for each other and our environment. Let's tell our stories, and let's watch and listen to our stories. There will be so much to tell. Ghana is a truly beautiful country. Be Ghana, stay in Ghana, experience Ghana, make Ghana great. And we will invite the world to come and experience Ghana too. But for now, stay home. Brought to you by the National Film Authority. Supports the Stay Home and Discover Ghana Later campaign. This channel supports the campaign.
God bless our homeland, Ghana.
News reporting does not end because the day is over. Anytime the news breaks, it is our duty as journalists to report it in a timely and accurate manner. It is also our responsibility to seek answers to the lingering questioning on the minds of the audience to hopefully bring closure to an unfolding story.
Address me on the parameters of this invitation.
Mr. Speaker, you owe me. I don't want to ever disrespect you. But if you invite me, I will.
Let's interrogate the facts behind the issue, speak to the newsmakers, present the relevant facts in a way that tells the full story. Newsline, an in-depth probe into the news headlines. The news never sleeps. My name is Moro Audu. Join me from Monday to Friday at 10:30 p.m. on Metro TV for Newsline.
Okay, so we are in the intercessory time, and I say that because this funny boy on Facebook said that the interview could just compromise praise and worship. I said no, it's intercessory time. Minister, how are you?
I'm well, Paul. I hope you're good.
Somebody was telling me, one of our people here was telling me that you have done more press conferences in the last 5 months than you did in the last 4 years. Is it true?
It's possible.
Why have you had to do plenty press conferences?
No. I think it's because of the structure of the communications program we are running. Mm-hmm. You know, before I became minister, mostly what we had was the Meet the Press. Mm-hmm. I think now people are even forgetting that there's something called Meet the Press. So that was like a monthly exercise or like every 2 weeks where a minister comes to speak. Now, our democracy is evolved. Things are in real time. It's on social media. Conversations are going on. So what we've done is to introduce a new product we call the Minister's Press Briefing, where either myself or a colleague minister will come either on a Sunday or on a Wednesday to respond to issues. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, in the first quarter of this year or this first half of the year, there have been a lot of issues coming up. And so if you are there Wednesdays and Sundays, if you do the count, we may be equaling what we've done in the last
Why the
4
Sundays? Interesting. It's very interesting.
Well, I mean, if you follow the U.S. political market, for example, you find out that Sundays are actually the calmest moments where you can have deeper political conversations. We think that in the midst of the clutter, Sunday is a good time to start off a conversation and get different perspectives.
When I asked some of our colleagues in the media, though, they said that, I asked, why is Kojo doing press conference on Sunday? They said, but he's mafia. He wants to lead the story on Monday morning. This is mafia things.
No, it's not mafia.
But every Sunday has led the story on Monday.
Well, but if you're looking for a calm period during which you can get message across, I think Sunday is not a bad time.
Fix the country. Has it failed?
I hope it hasn't. Mm-hmm. I hope it hasn't because it triggered something that I believe, and indeed many people in government believed, was giving us an opportunity to have an open, frank conversation about what it takes to fix some things in this country. Mm-hmm. I think at some point there was an attempt to politicize it, and that is what may have lost it part of the traction that it was getting, even from neutrals, from people from the MPP stock and from the NDC stock. And you know, once you start politicizing things, people will move into their dimensions. But essentially, my understanding of it was that it was a platform that was aimed at pushing for a quick resolution to some matters, roads, economic issues, energy, jobs, etc. Now, you notice that government has been pushing this conversation for a while now. You don't always get the traction. Sometimes you are competing with Efia Odo and all sorts of things, Polo, and all sorts of things that are happening.
Yeah.
Admittedly, because they are all news and public matters that catch people's attention. So this time, when you get it on the reverse side, that particularly the youth that you need are now the ones pushing the conversation, it gives you an opportunity to mainstream part of that conversation. And I think our expectation was that the other half of it, of what is our collective responsibility to fix things together, will now come to the table. Unfortunately, it appears to be going on the downside. But we think that it's important to continue the conversation and to continue talking about what it takes to fix the myriad of issues around us and our collective responsibility.
That's why people fight with the officials of government. This collective responsibility. They say that you people take the taxes. We don't take taxes, so we have no role.
No, it's not.
What's the collective thing about?
No, it's not true. I mean, take roads, for example, and just on Sunday and this week, we've been talking a lot about roads. The minister responsible for roads has given us some interesting data. Ghana has 78,000 kilometers of roads. 78,000 kilometers of roads. And as we speak, what has happened is that, or let's say by 2017...
Hold on, this 78,000 includes everything?
Yeah, everything. Ghana's total road.
So I go to Hacho, Atomic, that's small
all
road.
of that is 78,000 kilometers.
Oh, they have data like that?
They have data like
that's
that.
That's impressive, by the way.
And some change.
That's
now,
impressive.
He explains to us at the time that he assumed office in 2017, we had done only about 23% of that. 23% of that 78,000 had been paved. So you can wear the math. I think
paved means what? Asphalted?
With bitumen on it. So that brings it to
23%.
Yes.
Okay.
If you do the math, that will bring it, I think, to what? Is it 18,000 or so?
Something like that.
Okay. So net that off. That will bring you down to about 60,000 kilometers of roads as at 2017 January.
Unpaved.
Unpaved. And then he explains to us that in the last 4 years, what was done was close to 4,000. Now, first of all, two things. You got to net or compare that 4,000 to what was done every other 4 years before, and it will tell you the pace at which we are fixing our roads. Now, when you net that 4,000 of the 60,000 or so, that brings you to about 54,000 outstanding as at now. What he did on Sunday was to announce a program that currently the various road contracts that have been given amount to about 11,000 kilometers. Assuming we're able to complete that 11,000 in these 4 years, that will shave off 11,000 off that 54. And then you have an outstanding, and if successive governments are all doing about 11,000 kilometers in 4 years, give or take, what is it? Is it 20 years or so? We should have all this question about.
Yeah, but the 78 may be expanding.
Well, may or may not. It's not everywhere that you are going to necessarily construct new route corridors.
Okay.
Remember, this is all about the corridors that already exist that are not paved. Now, he says to us that from the program they have and the funding arrangements they have, he thinks they can finish about 6,000 of them in these 4 years. And the other outstanding will be work in progress. The question that drops from it is, what does it take to finish this 6,000 even, as he has put there? A lot of it is money. A good chunk of it is technical support. So the government has a responsibility, the technocrats have a responsibility, but the people have a responsibility, and I'll explain. The responsibility of the government is to ensure that the resources are mobilized, the technocrats are doing a job, and the roads are fixed. And even in so doing, the minister has extended what you call the warranty period for roads from about 1 year now to 5 years.
What does it mean, warranty period?
So what it means is that previously, if you're a contractor and you built a road, you had 1 year to maintain it. After which anything that happens on the road is not a problem of government. Now, to ensure that contractors are doing a quality job, it's been extended to 5 years.
Okay.
So when you build a road, for 5 years, you are responsible for it.
So you most likely do it well.
So it is a major introduction to ensure that the phenomenon of shoddy jobs goes down. But now when you come to what it takes to fix, I mean, even the 6,000 kilometers of roads, if you look at the funding options, what comes from the road fund? Very limited. Very often you're having to borrow. Look at what happened when Kufuor tried to do the Gang of 4 roads with GOG funding. It's been there up till now, and we're now trying to find some more resources to do it. So very often governments like to do debt for roads. So they find a particular credit facility, attach it to a particular road. Now, the minister has indicated right from the beginning, it was reiterated by the minister responsible for finance at the time, Osei Mensah Bonsu, that we'll need to look at the road fund and up it so that we can get a significant volume of funds into the road fund.
What's the maximum of it now?
Currently, they are getting, I think, about 1 billion, 1.2 billion a year into the road fund based on the tolls we are paying. Now, there's a conversation about what 1.2 billion can do. If today the commitments are about 8 billion to finish, and you need about $10 billion, which is about 60 billion cedis, to finish the entire road network, 1 billion cedis a year will not do it for us as quickly as we want. Or do we want to go and borrow some more money against our current constraints? And that's where the citizen conversation comes in.
Do we want to increase the road toll? Is that an
So
option?
that is the conversation we have to have. That is a conversation that Honorable Minister has mentioned needs to come back on the table. Of course, he has to come through cabinet. There's a whole process for governance. He has to do his memos, do his justifications, come to cabinet, get cabinet approval, and then he can come to the public and say, this is what cabinet
But the citizens will say that they are tired. They've been taxed so heavily.
Well, it's a chicken and egg situation. So what Fix-It does is that it gives us an opportunity to have this conversation. What is the role of government? What is the role of the technocrats who were previously supervising some of those shoddy jobs? And what is the role of the citizen? And so it is in that context that I say it was a fantastic opportunity. It will be disappointing if it's, just a fact that is gone. But we need to continue having that conversation so that we collectively commit to what it takes to get things done. Because you cannot build a country by yourself as a government. You need the citizen input and participation. If you are fighting, let's say, illegal small-scale mining, you can't do it by yourself. You need citizen participation and support to get to the next mile. And it is in that context that I say that this is a good opportunity that we shouldn't lose.
Is it because politicians promise too much? When you're running the campaign, you promise too much, and so
I'm not sure.
When
it's
we
about,
tell you that fix it and do the promise, then you say
I'm not
we
sure
are all
it's
involved.
About, I'm not sure it's about politicians promising too much or citizens being irresponsible totally or this being that. You see, developing the country requires different people to play different roles. What is important is that consistently we have those national conversations about our various roles. We can't dump it all on citizens. We can't dump it all on government. You can't dump it all on civil society or the media. In reverse, you can't blame just one person for it. It is that regular interaction of the various forces of society for each to realize that we have an obligation in this enterprise that will get us to that end.
Did you meet with them?
The
Fix the Country people?
Personally, I wasn't there. Ministers of Finance and National Security and Justice, I think about 6 other ministers had the opportunity to meet with them and actually to express some level of pleasure at the fact that they had started this conversation. And the fact that the government had also been doing a number of things. So 2 things needed to happen. It was important to showcase to them and bring them along what the government was doing. It was also important to solicit their support in expanding that conversation so that in the end we all see ourselves in how we are fixing this Ghana together. My understanding, and since both sides issued social media statements after the meeting, my understanding, the brief I had, was that, first of all, they were pleased that their concerns had been taken this seriously by a whole government delegation of about 6 ministers, and government was pleased that they had this initial conversation. They exchanged contacts and agreed that they would explore ways of meeting further. But that has not materialized.
But the Sunday press conference that you organized for the finance minister, what was it intended for?
Well, first of all, it's part of our briefings, as I mentioned earlier. But it was also intended to update the country on something that President Akufo-Addo had hinted early 2020, which maybe we missed, but which was now manifesting. He said that we know how to bring the economy back to life, but for human beings, we don't know how to bring them to back. Why did he have to say that? Because we were coming from an economic trajectory where we had gone so low that we now had to actually go to the International Monetary Fund and go for a bailout. That we can't handle this anymore. We need your help. Give us some money and some technical advice to fix this. From there, things kept going down until 2017 when President Akufo-Addo's administration took over. And everybody will attest to the gradual uptick of the Ghanaian economy. Perfection? No. Everybody got a job? No. Everybody got satisfied? No. But it cannot be denied that there was a gradual improvement of our situation until COVID hit us. Now, the president's point in March or so, 2020, was that what is going to happen, and if you read the theory of pandemics and pandemic management, whenever you are hit with a pandemic, you have a twin crisis. You have the health crisis, and then it's often followed by a financial or an economic crisis, because in dealing with the health crisis, the measures that you take will end up affecting the economy. The president's point was that we're going to have to sacrifice all of these economic gains. The economy is going to go down. But it is better to sacrifice all of that and protect people's lives, because for the economy, we know how to bring it back to life. If we say we want to preserve the economic gains we have made and keep on that trajectory, just so that we have a good economic record, people are going to die. And when people die, we can't bring them back to life. I don't know if perhaps at that time we did not catch on to what he was saying. But what he spoke of is what now in January, February, March 2020, when we had gradually made some success in saving lives, people now started raising, okay, so how do we fix the economy? So what the finance minister came back to do was to say, don't worry, this is what the president spoke about. That is why we put in place a plan called the Ghana Cares of Batampa program, which is aimed at injecting this economy back to life. And then went on to outline the various things that had already been put in and announced, maybe, because of the conversations. And that's why I said sometimes you don't get the full national attention because the nation's attention is consumed with something else. And so what he did was to reiterate what had been said, what had been done, what had been outlined, and the next steps. And you notice that just a few days ago, he came back to speak to one of the first elements in that, the National Development Bank, and how it's going to play a role in getting all of this done.
That's very articulate sounding. I mean, maybe you should put the phone lines on, let people ask him a few questions, but I've never heard this bring the people back. And we had talked about the sloganeering of it. But tonight, Information Minister is giving us a real minister. So you are saying that all of this economic situation discomfort was predicted.
If you have studied the history of pandemics, this is not new. When you have a pandemic and you are shutting down economies, people can't move, all of this thing is happening. Your economy is going to literally grind to a halt. Look at what is happening to some of the economies that have literally, for some economies, the argument is that they are just not seeing it, but they're actually in a recession.
Yes.
Ghana has dropped from an average 7% growth to about 0.5, some say 0.9% in 2020. Why? Because you had to shut down major economic activity, because the major things that you were doing to get this economy on track, you had to halt them. When you halt them, revenues were not coming into the national kitty. At the same time, you have to spend more. No, not just what you have programmed, more. So your deficit is going to get wider than you had even programmed. Remember, we had brought down the deficit from about 11%, or the adjusted 6%, down to under 5%, and had actually capped it by law. That never again should any administration go beyond 5%, unless with the prior approval of Parliament. Now, because of all of this and COVID fiscal implication, what is it? 23 billion Ghana cedis. 23 billion Ghana cedis. 23 billion Ghana cedis. Think about it.
Spent on COVID.
Fiscal implications, revenue that did not come in.
Revenue loss, okay, and then the overspending.
So in the end, you are not growing. You are spending money to hold the situation. The theory tells you that every time this happens, you are going to have an economic challenge. But that one, you can bring it back to life if you know how to do it. But if you do like what some heads of state did, and you've seen the heads of state who went that way, that they were not going to take any measures aimed at mitigating the health crisis because they didn't want to sacrifice the gains in the economy. Take Trump, for example. I think we can be bold and open about it. One of the considerations of the Trump administration was that the economy was one of their strongest points. If you shut down the economy and jobs are suffering and hardships, you lose the election. In many of those economies, you will now find out that death rates were a lot higher, the human cost was higher, and sometimes even consequently gets to the political side. So the theory is that you can sacrifice the economy, and if you know how to bring it back to life, that way you can do it. If you don't do that, and you allow people to die, you can't bring the people back to life. And that's exactly where we are. And that is why, right at the beginning of the year, the Ghana Cares of Batampa program was outlined, that this is what we are going to have to use to bring the economy back to life. So today, it is a good thing that people have caught on to the conversation that how do we fix this economy? And what Finance Minister was saying that, guess what? This is what we're talking about all along. Now, can we do this?
So we are in good hands. That's what it's.
We're in good hands.
Okay. In 5 minutes, we'll be going off Metro TV. We'll continue on social media. So get Good Evening Ghana Official on Facebook, and I'll be announcing the changeover when it occurs. Okay, let's move on. Galamsey.
Yeah.
The Intellectual Society is that you have a call? Okay, let's take just one call before we continue. Hello? 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 We lost it. Okay. Galamsey, this burning excavators now. The Intellectual Society is divided.
Yeah.
Something that this is property. It can be used for many things.
Yeah.
And the division includes people in MPP.
Yeah.
Why are you destroying property? If you arrive at the Galamsey place, the guy cannot proceed to do this. Okay, you take the excavator. On your screen is one such excavator. Let me see whether you can get a bent one. If you can get a bent one, that would be good. But that's one such excavator. So you take the excavator from him. You can park it at Burma Camp. You can park it at Parliament House. Why are you burning it?
So first, it's not strange that even the intellectuals are divided. I mean, sometimes the Supreme Court itself splits down the line, 5-4, 6-3. Sometimes they go unanimous. But it is not strange in itself that even intellectuals are divided. Now, if you say that this is property being used for an illegal act, and therefore the option has to be to seize it and proceed to deal with it in a particular way, it is an opinion that I'm sure a good number of people will not disagree
Let me take
with.
this one call.
Yeah.
Hello? 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 Ernest, your callers are not talking. Hello? Oh, the equipment is not working. Hello? Okay, please go on. We won't take any calls. I don't want to interrupt you. Let's hear him.
No, so I'm saying that if you make that argument, it is an opinion that many people cannot fault you with. But I think we've been down that road before. And it turned out with more complications than an attempt to resolve the matter. Today, the instruction is very simple. And today, let's be careful. It's not an all-out war against small-scale mining or mining in any form. It is a specific exercise of mining in water bodies, which already is prescribed by law.
Yes.
So what you are doing is that you are using an asset.
So, Minister, look at this on your screen now.
Yeah, you are using an
on fire.
asset. Yeah, I know. You are using an asset to commit an illegality.
Yes.
That's what you are doing. And you are making an argument that, okay, so why don't they seize or preserve the asset? The instruction that the Ghana Armed Forces have is to remove all persons and logistics that are being used for mining in water bodies or about 100 meters from the water bodies.
100 meters?
Yes.
Some people say they are 500 meters.
Well, I'll come to that one. Those are the exceptions. And Paul, this gold business is got a lot of money involved in it. And if you are not clear and definite on what you want to do, you will never be successful with it. First of all, there is no...
Because of the power of influence?
Because of the power of influence. Let us all learn from our past. When Operation Vanguard was in full throttle, let's not lie to ourselves. When Operation Vanguard was in full throttle, and soldiers and policemen were embedded in the forest and around, we all agreed that they were being corrupted. They were being corrupted by miners, chiefs, politicians, all persons associated with it. And in the end, what we were looking for was not what we were getting fully. And so a totally different approach has been arrived at. And a red zone has been declared. Water bodies, not general concessions. Water bodies. So if you, I mean, first of all, the question must be asked, even before we come to this question about why don't you seize? The question, what is the excavator doing in the middle of a river?
But is that what is happening?
That is what is happening.
No, but they showed us videos where they are 200 meters away, like what you're seeing now.
They have
it's like a pond that they've drawn the water from somewhere.
No, if you have a good aerial video. And that's why the Ghana Armed Forces went with a helicopter. Because sometimes what you get is that people do one side filming and then come and tell a narrative on it. That's why the Ghana Armed Forces went with a whole helicopter.
To look at everything.
Yeah. And journalists to fly over and look at everything. So you have people who have put excavators in water bodies or around water bodies. That's one. You have people who have diverted the course of the river into ponds they have created. Go look at the Brim River now. And the footage.
So when they divert the river to another place,
yes,
does the river get destroyed?
They create deep dams, deep ponds and dams. And then they divert the river into these dams, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 dams. And now the bed where the river used to pass no longer has river there.
So it's turning. The river is now turning.
But it's no longer even flowing. It's now dammed into those dams. So if you look at the Brim and some of the other rivers, when you fly over the course, you can't find the river anymore. You find dams of water on the sides of the river. And now on what used to be the river bed is where the excavators are and are mining. That is a different technology from those who use the chamfan. They don't divert the water. They go put the chamfan in the river bed.
That's a smaller equipment.
Yes, and mine. Both are doing the same thing. So the instruction to the Ghana Armed Forces is quite clear. Demobilize. Make sure that nobody no logistics are present for that purpose. Because nobody has any business being there. Now, if somebody says that I am not in the water body but I have been affected, that's a matter that can be investigated and dealt with.
Because they say they are 500 meters away. They have dams there.
I am coming.
And they've taken it from the river.
I am coming. I'll come to that. If somebody says I am not in the water body, so I am exempted, that can be investigated and a determination can be made. And if the soldiers have gone out of turn, it can be dealt with. But there are many other instances of people who are actually outside 100 meters, who have done a clever trick of connecting machines, so pumps and huge tubes into the water body, sucking the water onto their mining concession and pumping the dirty material back into the river.
I saw a soldier's video.
Same effect.
So you may be 500 meters away.
But you are doing the same thing. And in that case, the soldiers will act.
And you may have Minerals Commission permit.
In fact, there was one mine, I think Kibi Gold Fields or something, which is a legitimate large-scale mine outside the 100 meters radius. They had been given permit by, I think, Water Resources Commission to pool water. What they were in reality doing was they were pulling the water and pumping the material back into the water. And therefore, they were affected by the operation. So, I don't think it's out of pleasure that the soldiers themselves or the government officials who are responsible.
Can't we carry the excavator away from there and bring it?
But you saw what happened when, the last time that was attempted. We've got to learn from our past. Let's not mince words about it. We have to learn from our past. Okay,
but can't you bring it to Bema Camp? Bring all the excavators to Bema Camp.
I'm saying that the soldiers have been given instructions to demobilize and to ensure that they are not there. And they have their own standard rules of operation on how they do that.
But they are burning trucks too, you know that.
Well, today, the instruction is what they are following. It may be unwholesome for persons who are involved. But I think there's clarity that mining in water bodies, and if you are not mining in a water body, you ought not to have a problem. Mining in water bodies, 100 meters away from water bodies, is prohibited. And if you are doing it, then these consequences will have to come to bear on what you are doing.
That's very, very... but of course, you know the issues about some important party people of your party and all that is being reported that they say that they have been affected by the exercise.
I've heard.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I heard some PR people say that, well, the MPP can say that we are administering a policy without fear or favor.
I don't think that the exercise that is going on is even focused on political colours. You recall that the National Consultative Dialogue that my brother Abu Jinapor led beautifully on behalf of the president, all parties were united that this must be fought. You had representatives of different political parties chairing different panels. They were united that this is a canker that must be dealt with. When we traveled to visit the Pra River, Paul, and I challenge you, go there with your camera crew. You'll be shocked if today it hasn't improved. You'll be shocked at the banks of the Pra River. You would see for yourself chemicals. Aquatic life is gone in the Pra River. I tell you myself, aquatic life, you won't find fish in there. Dead, gone. Cyanide, mercury, etc. Chemicals. The Ghana Water Company Limited pumps that draw in water from the Pra to water stations for treatment. They are having to replace their drawing pumps on a regular basis because the kind of chemicals and mud that is coming from the Pra, even the machines can't sustain it. So if you are tackling a problem like this, it can't be a hanky-panky exercise of, what is comfortable. It is a difficult set of decisions that have had to be made. But I think there's a very simple solution. Don't mine in the water body. Don't go 100 meters away from the body.
So where do you get water from then? To wash your gold?
According to the small-scale mining processes and the Act, you dig your own dam, you dig your own borehole, you dig your own...
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Here on Metro TV.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments. Live from Ikwa Studio, number 9 Dr. Iset Street, Northridge. This is Newsline.
Hello, good evening. It's great to be back on your screen with another edition of Newsline. My name is Moro Awudu. Newsline is live on Metro TV. It's also live on DSTV channel 277. It's also streaming live on Facebook at Metro News and on Twitter at Metro TVGH. Coming up in this edition, in his latest epistle, former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu alleges that President Akufo-Addo instructed former Attorney General Gloria Ekufu not to prosecute MPs found to have received double salaries. And also the ranking member of the Roads and Transport Committee, Governs Agboja, accuses the Minister of Roads and Highways of repackaging roads it could not complete before the 2020 general elections into so-called new projects. A Newsline is always brought to you by Delta Paper, producers of Flora disposable tissue. Newsline will be right back.
Do not drop that winners. The fight is still on. Constant disinfection is still very pivotal in the fight against COVID-19. Call an expert today on 020-300-4055 or 050-126-5426 to ensure your space is disinfected.
And welcome back to the news program. And now to our first story, where a private businessman, Harris Osu Ansa Jiabwo, has flatly denied allegations that he murdered its investigative journalist, Ahmed Swaleh. Mr. Ansu Jiabwo said the recent killing of the constituency, Kennedy Japan, that a certain Ansu Jiabwo masterminded the killing of Ahmed Swaleh. Mr. Swaleh's death was linked to the release of an investigative piece titled Number 12, which shook the foundations of Ghana football by Tiger IPI.
Supposedly big man who thinks that he is untouchable, who thinks he can bribe, he can pay, decided to defame me. Now the truth is out. You go out there, pick wanted by for what do you call defrauding by false pretense, which happened on the 10th of January 2020. You saw over hundreds of Ansu Jiabwo. So no, this one is the easiest target. You publish me that I killed somebody. I went to Kumasi Academy. I left Kumasi around 2005 to 2006. The longest I have stayed in Kumasi has been a week or two. People are quick to have the breaking news. Oh, we found him. And then you use just 1 second to tarnish somebody's reputation. You forget that I have a wife. You forget I have children. You forget I have business partners around the world. Over what? Likes? Over views? My picture is all over the place that I killed. What if the family of Ahmed meets me somewhere and they stop me, what will happen? What have you achieved? I am here, and you know me. All those that know me, that you know that I can't even, I can't even, what do you call it, kill a fowl. I'm a swallow. Minimuno. I trade oil and gas. I'm an oil and gas trader. I have nothing, like, I have no relationship with any media.
Now, Mr. Tujabo has also threatened to sue persons involved in publishing any material that seek to tarnish his image.
People need to learn. We've come from far. It is sometimes, you know, be grateful to God for us. Thank God for our lives, where we are coming from, and what God is doing in our lives now. You know, where be thankful to us. If you know to God, if you know where we are coming from, you will never dream or wish to say, even the police are doing what they have to do. I just pray that when everything is said and done and the law is being put to use, nobody will come and tell me, say, oh, Jamaica. Because I've been through a lot from 2020 to this time. If I had a weak mind, and by now, my committee suicide. If I had a weak mind, I would have committed suicide by now. So I just want my friends, loved ones, to just be at peace. You know me way too well. I don't have time. I don't have.
Now, former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu has alleged that President Akufo-Addo instructed the then Attorney General Gloria Kufu not to file charges against parliamentarians found to have received double salaries. In his latest epistle, the former Attorney General alleged that Madam Gloria's, the public prosecution, Yvonne Atakora Obua Bisa, after perusing the police docket, came to the conclusion that some of the suspects should be charged. Here are excerpts of the latest epistle, and I have them here. I'm going to be reading portions of it. For instance, if you check, it says, the politically inspired propaganda against my integrity, which sought to link my resignation to the failure or refusal of this irredeemably corrupt government for 4 whole years to deal with the simple offense of double salary or stealing, are false, infantile, and barefaced lies. Number 2, the statement attributed to the office of the Attorney General about recently resuming working on establishing a prima facie case against ex-appointees and then swing into action cannot also be reflecting any factual truth. The compromising agreement led to some NDC contractors being paid for the first time for work done prior to the 7th January 2017 before the ministerial approvals were made. As a show of good faith to NDC, my informants and the agents within the executive and parliamentary NDC are certain that MPs' double salary cases and other pending criminal cases involving some NDC members of parliament formed part of the negotiations and compromises that paved the way for, and it continues, it says it paved the way for the compromising agreement led to some NDC. No, I'm going to continue with this. Great. So, yes, within the NDC in Parliament. So that's where it ends. Now, if you check out point number 4. All right, so we ended here. So these are some of the excerpts of some of the, in fact, these are excerpts of the statement released by the then or the former special prosecutor, Mr. Martin Amidu. We can now move on to our next story. Now, next story. The presidency has cautioned government appointees, including ministers of state, against using sirens to weed through traffic whilst driving on the country's roads. Here's a news desk report.
In a letter dated May 19, the office of the president cited regulation 74 clause 3 of LI 2180 as containing information on designated vehicles that can use sirens. According to the presidency, only government vehicles used for official purposes by the head of state, a police vehicle, fire service vehicle, ambulance, vehicle used by other recognized government security agencies, and a bullion vehicle registered by the licensing authority can use sirens. As such, ministers and their deputies, regional ministers, metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives, CEOs of government agencies, and officials of the presidency, unless otherwise designated, cannot abuse the use of sirens to enjoy an unmerited advantage over other road users. According to the presidency, any government appointee who will be caught acting contrary to the law is liable for prosecution.
And to some other stories where the ranking member of the Roads and Transport Committee governs Abuja is accusing the Minister of Roads and Highways of repackaging roads it could not complete before the 2020 general elections into the so-called new projects with the sole aim of deceiving Ghanaians into buying into the Year of Roads mantra. According to the Member of Parliament, the government cannot construct 20 new interchanges as promised in the current tenure.
We would have been happier if the minister told you or told the country which of the projects they completed within 4 years of President Akufo-Addo regime. But that information is very scanty. So basically what he's done is to repackage the same project which should have been completed by the end of 2020 and pretending that those are the projects they are going to complete in 2024. For instance, you all know that Sino-Hydro project, the 10 projects, were all supposed to have been completed by the end of 2020. The road portion of that is about 441 kilometers of road. Not a single one of those roads have been completed in the 4 years that they've been in government. Yet he's repackaged them and saying that those are going to be part of the 6,000 kilometers of road that they are going to do. We still insist that the Sino-Hydro, the road component project, is a failure, and the government must look for something else to do about them. If for 3 years you are unable to complete one out of the 10 roads, in fact, for me to make it clear to you, majority of the road, the contractor hasn't even moved to site.
This is Newsline on Metro TV. Newsline will be right back.
Awful wedded wife to having to hold from this day forward.
I do.
I knew it.
How much drama can you enjoy? See it feely with HD Plus. Get the best companion for your HD TV with HD Plus. Dial *879# to activate and enjoy the first 2 months for free.
Welcome back. In other stories, President Akufo-Addo has called for the preservation of the African culture while modifying the aspects that are outmoded. While addressing lawmakers at the Pan-African Parliament in Johannesburg, the president rallied support for regional and continental integration, particularly at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic has made the issue of economic integration more pronounced.
The African Union has chosen arts, culture and heritage
Levers for building the Africa we want, as its theme for the year, which is extremely commendable. A continent is defined by many things. It is defined by its history to an extent. It is defined by its geography to an extent. It is defined by its economy to an extent. It is defined by many other things. However, nothing defines a continent more than the arts, culture, customs, heritage, and tradition in its traditions. Aspiration 5 of Agenda 2063, which seeks, quote, an Africa with a strong cultural identity, common heritage, shared values and ethics, unquote, enjoins us to promote the history, identity, heritage, and consciousness of African peoples and their diaspora. It further encourages us to tap into Africa's rich heritage and culture to ensure that the creative arts are major contributors to Africa's growth and transformation. Even whilst we are proud of our history, our culture, and our arts, we must recognize the forces of change and modernization that are knocking insistently on our doors. The Africa we want may never be realized if we turn our backs on our culture, customs, and heritage. Indeed, the realities confronting our respective countries are those of guaranteeing accelerated sustainable development, the effective integration of our economies into the high end of the global value chain, the eradication of poverty and inequality, and the marginalization of our nations. If we are to succeed in these endeavors, our best bet is to be united. One thing the pandemic of COVID-19 has taught all of us is that we must hasten the process of regional and continental integration, because acting together will...
Residents of Enyina Nofo community in the Ahafo, Anor district of the Ashanti region, have been thrown into a state of mourning on Tuesday, May 25, 2021. This was after a 2-year-old boy was killed and with 12 houses burnt to ashes to a fuel tank explosion. After assessing the impact of the explosion, the Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, Nana Agyemang Prempeh, visited the community to commiserate with the affected victims and presented some relief items to ease their burden. This is a report filed by Metro News Ashanti Regional Correspondent Abdul Basit Sulaiman. Read to you.
3 persons lost their lives on Monday at Enyina Nofo when a fuel tanker overturned and caught fire. Firefighters deployed to the scene from Tepa managed to bring the fire under control, but 3 persons, the driver of the tanker with his mate and a 2-year-old boy, were burnt to death on the spot, while 7 others sustained severe injuries. The chief of Yoso, Nana Also Abebio, who received the delegation from NADMO, said the bad nature of the roads resulted in the accident.
Road signs no was say anya adwuma kra na say mumma ramp kra be ba me gidi say speed no wo ka ya e ben barrier wa ha omugina no wa nyina the speed no sa no de be pie kwema akwa fa say ya ben ndimu nyina yintu ya hofo titu adaba fo ne nam kwa no so utu se kru ho no ma wo so kofo.
The Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, Nana Agyemang Prempeh, led a delegation to commiserate with families of the deceased.
After everything, we promised the people that as early as possible we need to come in to support them with some form of relief. Today, we are here to present all these items to them, from roofing sheet to food items and non-food items. So we've presented it to the chiefs and people on behalf of the president and the government of Ghana, as well as my organization, NADMO. There's a contractor on the road to repair the road. So what I'm going to do is to write officially to the Minister for Roads so that we take it up and see how possible we can add more road signs and other things so that we don't experience such occurrences again.
The managing director of FBN Bank Ghana, Victor Yao Asante, has been talking about the challenges that has impeded banking during the pandemic era, such as face-to-face banking, managing a virtual office, and others that banks had to endure while cutting costs in order to keep both stakeholders and investors satisfied during the pandemic. He said this at the Making Money Summit event organized by the BNFT on Tuesday, 25th May 2021 in Accra.
The day event brought together industry players to discuss ways the role of the financial sector is fast-tracking Ghana's recovery from the pandemic shock. Managing Director of FBN Bank Ghana, Victor Yao Asante, spoke about the hurdles that banks had to endure on while cutting costs in order to keep both stakeholders and investors satisfied.
We lost a few months because we didn't even know what to do. I mean, it was just coming out to work was dangerous. I mean, coming to the branch could kill you. So people stayed out, and also a lot of banks needed to make sure their staff were safe, customers were safe. So we needed to put in a lot of infrastructure and processes to make sure things were being done right.
Professor Godwin Bobkin also proposed that the government should consider reviewing the interest rate to support the private sector.
Government still has to spend in to maintain public safety, for health, and all of that in the face of collapsed revenue because the pandemic has eroded some revenue lines from the government. The debt buildup is also rising, but it is very obvious that the state cannot continue to absorb the burden on behalf of the citizens, and the state will have to decide to shift the burden to the private sector and to individuals. And
well, this is where we end tonight's edition of Newsline. Before I go, as usual, a quick recap of the major stories. In his latest epistle, former Special Prosecutor Martin Abidu is alleging that President Akufo-Addo instructed the former Attorney General Gloria Kufu not to prosecute MPs found to have received double salaries. And also the ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee, Governs Agboja, has been accusing the Minister of Roads and Highways of repackaging roads it could not complete before the 2020 general elections into so-called new projects. Newsline, as always, is brought to you by Delta Paper, producers of Flora disposable tissue. Same time tomorrow, I'll be back with another edition of Newsline. My name is Moro Aldu. The news never sleeps. Have a good night.
TV channel 277. In current affairs, we have the latest political and social news. The Business Bit brings you up to speed with the happenings in the world of business, commodities, the stock and forex market. We also have the latest in the world of sports, plus news across our borders in our international segment. We're on air.
Hello and welcome to Metro News Night, live from our studios here at number 8 Avenue Extension here in Accra. My name is Noble Crosby Annan.
And I am Ifia Fusua. Coming up, our top stories now.
A very good evening to you and welcome to News Night here on Metro TV. I am Bryce Nana Kwesi Amenina.
Hello, good evening. My name is Ania Fompofonia. Welcome to News Night on Metro TV.
I'll be bringing the latest in terms of sports right here in Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the world.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.